Hey team, I just wanted to follow up concerning training peaks and FTP tests. I'm going to give you a little navigation on how to determine your FTP if you want to do it on your own, how we get those numbers, where to find your zones, and how to upload things manually if you're not finding your rides on training peaks, because that's how we're going to establish your FTP. So let's do a little share screen here. We're going to look at my account. So we can see here in early April, this ride here, I did an FTP test with one of my clients, Drew, and I actually did it with him. So we're going to have a look at that. In general, you can see, let me close this. You can see Training Peaks is a sophisticated calendar where you can record all your rides, and it can help us determine how your fitness is going using this dashboard. Now that's only available on the premium one. You don't need to know that. We're going to use Training Peaks to drop in workouts like this into your calendar. I'll show you that in a second. So you have your numbers available to you before you do your Saturday workouts, and you know what to hold and what you're expected to perform at. So if I do an FTP test, Training Peaks is going to take all that data and analyze it for us in a way that's easy for us to find and to determine our actual FTP numbers. Now, anytime you do a ride, Training Peaks is going to automatically calculate what your best power were for these segments. So 5 second, 10 second, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and it can also give you an idea like what your year's best peaks are. So are you peaking at this time of year, etc., etc. Now you need to retest FTP fairly regularly for it to be valid. Okay, you're not going to take your best FTP number from seasons past and maintain that as your number to use. It changes all the time with your fitness. So mine is usually much higher than this, but it's the start of the year and I have to have a number to begin my training with, or it's not going to be manageable and it's not going to grow very quickly if I'm using numbers that are unreasonable. So if I want to zoom in on this, I can bring this up, and this shows me in the pink line here exactly what that data was. I can look at other things like my heart rate. If I have a heart rate monitor, you can see my heart rate is steadily going up, and it keeps climbing up and up and up and up and up and up. And it especially gets very high here at the end into the high 180s and even 190s for a second. As you can see by this little blip, that was a big power at the end, or I did a little sprint to try to catch somebody. So technically speaking, if I had that to put out on an FTP test, I probably had more that I could have put out here. So not my best performance, but c'est la vie. So highlighting this here has come up with my average power for the 20 minutes at 354 watts. Now that is called a 20-minute max. That is not your FTP. That is how we come up with your FTP. So Training Peaks usually does us a service and it checks to see if this number is greater than any 20 minutes it has stored currently as your FTP number. Okay. Again, you don't have to know exactly what I'm talking about, but if it does calculate that it's higher than before, it sends you a little email and it says, hey, Scott, sorry, Scott, I'm using your file here, but yours came through recently. It says, Scott, you've just upped your FTP. We think your new threshold value is 245 watts. It was 243. It also tells you heart rate values. So 170 beats per minute is the heart rate equivalent of threshold power. Now, again, we don't use heart rate so much, it's not that accurate, but when we're doing threshold work, it is a useful number and it's always there in case your power meter craps out on you. So we're going to update both of these for Scott and make sure that that's updated. We'll do that in a second. Let's do mine and let's make sure that this is all correct. Let's say I did not receive an email, but I want to figure out what it is. We take 354. We're going to find a calculator somewhere here. Actually, I'm just going to do this on my phone. So I'm going to take 354 watts and I'm going to multiply that by 0.95. That gives me a number of 336 watts. Okay, so if I wanted to update my FTP, I'll go into my settings, this little wheel here, and I go into my zones. Now your zones are going to be calculated from this. We go to power and we go 336 watts. And you'll see when I do that and calculate, all these numbers here will change. And these are our zones: zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. You don't need to know what these are, but if we were going to give these names, this would be threshold power. This would be sweet spot. Okay. Tempo, endurance, VO2, and anaerobic. Now there are actually more zones than this, but this is a good starting point. Okay. We're going to spend most of our time between zones 3, 4, and 5 for your training. So this week we're sticking right between zone 3 and zone 4. And that's why this number is so important, because when let's save that for now. When I add a workout into my file, it's going to be scaled relative to that FTP number. And if it's not, then I'll skip to today. If it's not, then you're going to be working with the wrong numbers. So let's say I was doing a workout with you guys this weekend. I'm going to do sweet spots. You can see my enormous library. I have hundreds of workouts ready to go for you guys. We're going to do 20-minute steady sweet spots. Let's pretend I was doing it on Friday. Now that I've dragged this workout in here and my FTP settings are updated, when I click on this, it'll have everything scaled to my numbers. So you can see when I highlight the bars, it says it wants 20 minutes between 270 and 286 watts with 134 watt recovery. Now that's only applicable if you're not descending down a hill. Okay, if you're descending down a hill, it's going to be 0 watts. In fact, that's the maximum your recovery should be, 134, not the minimum. Most of us train our recoveries too hard, right? And we're going to repeat that. It doesn't change, 269 to 286 watts the whole time, okay? So that's the basic premise of it. What happens if I don't have a workout in here? Because I know some of you have just opened up Training Peaks account, or sorry, an FTP. So you'll get a workout, don't worry. Let's say your previous ride from the weekend, nothing came up here and you don't have an FTP. Well, we can manually upload this. So you can either go through your Garmin, your Wahoo, and find those files and push them forward, make sure that they're connected to Training Peaks, and it'll upload it for you. Or you can do it the long-winded way, which is not that hard. And we're going to go to, now I can upload any ride that I like. Okay, so I'm going to re-upload a recent ride of mine. So let's upload my Saturday ride. So here it is. So we had a good old time in Burnaby. It's not showing up on Training Peaks, but I really want to see what all that is about. Maybe I did an FTP test, maybe I didn't. Either way, I want to see that data. So I'm going to either export the TCX or the GPX. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to hit that. It's going to ask me to save it somewhere. So right here, it's told me that it's loading that file. Okay, now we'll go to Training Peaks. You click on a day, any day that you like, any day that it happened, ideally, and we're going to upload a file. So let's have a look at our downloads. There it is, raceclass.gpx, and then I click yes, which I can't do right now because the toolbar is on top of the button. Okay, now I can. And voila, the spinning wheel of death. When it's done its thing, I'll be able to look at that ride. Okay. Oops. Anyway, you guys get the point. So once that's uploaded, that'll be in my, yep, there we go, popping up. That'll be right here. Sometimes it'll come up as a weird activity. I want this to be a biking activity. So I just click on that, bike, and then I can go about analyzing it just like I showed you before. Okay. So I can look at power. You can get it into heart rates. You can get it into laps if you used a lap timer. I didn't, but if you did, it would have lap 1, lap 2, lap 3, however you broke it down, which is what you guys are going to do this weekend when you're doing your workouts. But if I wanted to find that 20-minute best for the day, there it is. That was my 20-minute best right there. Seymour intervals. Okay. I'm not going to get into much more detail than that because it's going to get confusing, but all you need to know is that I'm updating your FTPs as we speak, but I need activities from your Saturday in your file so that I can load that up. Then I will drag in your weekend Cypress sweet spot workout, and you'll be able to look at your numbers ahead of time, and we can use WhatsApp to ask questions. All right, team. That's it from me. Alex is going to be taking you this weekend. I look forward to seeing you the weekend after that. All the best. Hope that's challenging for you. It should be. It's one of my favorites. This one is going to turn you guys into a regular mountain goat. So enjoy. Pick Alex's brains. He's an ex-pro rider. So he's not ex. He's just on a bit of a sabbatical, I guess, due to COVID. But he's got a wealth of knowledge. So ask him what you will. And he's got some golden nuggets to share. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.